It's gonna be hard to follow Dr. Zeiger and to speak to you that are professionals and all that. But I guess what I can offer is the perspective of the community, of the immigrant community. And I'm just gonna mention some points that I think that are very important. Many people say, well, why don't they become legal? There are no options to become legal. And many people don't know, and when they understand the immigration system, then they realize that we are trapped. Even if you really want to be a legal resident, you cannot unless you have a relative that can petition you or an employer that can also sponsor you. Otherwise, there's no path to become legal resident. After you are a legal resident, you need to wait 5 years to apply for citizenship and then pay the fee that Dr. Zeiger was mentioning. So there are some countries that is easier to apply for residency because there are some visas every year for different countries. So, but for Mexicans and usually Central America, it's very difficult because the number of visas are very, very few compared to the number of people who want to come here. Now I want to try to put this in perspective. I know that probably many of you know, but the Georgia law HB 87, the Arizona, Alabama, Utah, and all the other states that are signing similar laws is not a coincidence. They're a copy of each other, almost the exact word from each other. And this is because there is a national strategy from racist groups, for anti-immigrant groups that want to find a scapegoat and at the same time to build economic power for them or to keep economic power between them, and also to keep the political power between them. So there are many groups there, but from the racist perspective, there is a man that I guess you know is Mr. Tanton, and he has provided millions of dollars to create organizations and agencies that justify or to develop policies that are very racist, not only against Latinos, but against any minority. So when we are speaking about this is from the perspective of Latinos and immigrants, but we don't forget that this is not against us. Is against minorities or against people that are not right now in power. So when we speak about Latinos, we want to feel involved because it's against all of us. From the economic and legislative perspective, there is a group called ALEC that is I call it a marriage. So the legislators are getting married with lobbyist groups that have a lot of money, and the money comes from corporations and banks like Wells Fargo and Bank of America. They're paying lobbyists to sponsor this type of laws like the Arizona and Georgia and Alabama. And also they're creating or supporting the prison industry, the growing the prison industry. They are main sponsor not just for lobbies, but also for new detention centers for immigrants. And just an example is that CCA Corrections Corporation of America, it has made $12 billion by keeping immigrants detained. Who's paying those billions of dollars? The federal government is paying them to keep people in there. So we are not deported immediately, but they make sure that they make a profit from us. The federal government pays per day, per detainee, for staying in those immigration detention centers. The detention centers have been growing lately, and in Georgia we had one in Stuart, South Georgia, and it was empty for almost 5 years. They wanted to host criminals in there or juvenile. They didn't know what to do. They were trying to supposedly grow the economy of where the detention center is. When they realized that they could make money from immigrants, it wasn't a coincidence that the legislator started working on that. Now, that center hosts about 1,900 men that are immigrants, and most of them are not criminals. They're detained there because they didn't have a driver license or because of a minor traffic offense. And just imagine an immigrant in fear of immigration and the police and everything there that is in there inside. Just imagine how bad the situation is in there that they had a hunger strike inside the detention center, despite the fear and all that, because the food was raw or rotten, rice and beans, and they were getting sick from their stomach very frequently, to the point that they decided to do a hunger strike. Also, women before were from Dalton. They are transferred, like Dr. Zeiger said, an hour and a half from Atlanta. They transported from Dalton to Atlanta, and then here in Atlanta they're booked for immigration, and then they were transferred to Alabama. Just imagine. Also women that weren't committing any crime by just driving their children to school or to the doctor or to the soccer game. They were mixed with women that committed crimes, and when they got there, I guess is usual for detainees, but for us is a woman that haven't committed any crime, just strip from their clothes, spray with insecticide, and not providing any underwear. For us, it was very humiliating to know that a woman coming from rural areas or from Latin American countries, or for any woman, to not have any underwear. And then now they transferred them to Georgia because they had another contract. Because of political and economic reasons, they transferred them to South Georgia, that is farther away from Alabama. There's nothing in there around there. But there are many sad parts of this, but one is that while they're transporting them, the relatives don't know where they are. They cannot find them for many days, and they're calling us crying, I don't know where my mom is, or my wife, or my husband. So we help them through the process to find them and to explain them also when it's convenient to pay a bond or an attorney, because also bonds and attorneys take advantage of the need of people.